Hi there, Shine Rocha here, CTSS at Pepperl+Fuchs, and today we are going to learn how to interface the ASI KE5 gateway for your IoT application using REST API. Particularly, we'll be using Postman to do a hands-on approach on the theoretical knowledge we gained in the last introductory video. If you haven't seen the introduction video, I highly recommend to check that out before this. It's going to give you some theoretical insights on REST API, the KE5 gateway, and IIoT.
Before we get started with doing REST API calls using Postman, we will first make sure that we have the right IP address for our KE5 gateway and the right set of credentials. To do that, the most simplest way is to log into our web interface. So right now, I have my web interface in front of me with the IP address 192.168.137.13. This means that I have the correct IP address with me to be used for REST API calls. Next thing which I'm going to make sure is that I have the right credentials. So my username is admin, my password is Pepperl123. I've changed my password in this case. For every KE5 gateway, there is a unique password that is provided at the side of the KE5 gateway. There's a sticker and you can find it over there. So I had that password and I then logged into that and then I changed it from our web interface. Very easy to do that. So now that's set up. Now I'm just going to click login. I'm able to get into my web interface. I can see our KE5 gateway being shown. This means I have the right set of credentials plus my IP address is correct. So now we are ready for the next step. I have Postman opened in front of me. And before I start doing REST API calls, just a side note, all these calls are available in a reference guide and that can be obtained by you, and it has all the available REST API calls with their body and their header and their response for reference. So saying that, the first API call I'm going to do is a login call, and doing that I'm going to acquire my JWT token, which is one of the most important parts of our REST API, as without that we won't be able to do any other API calls. To do that, over here I've made a new tab and I'm using a post request as per my reference manual, and I'm using the IP address which is stated to be correct as per our last check on the web interface /API, because that's important to know for the gateway to know it's an API call. Auth/login. We'll have to provide some body parameters. So in the body, I'm going to do some JSON. So I've selected raw. In my JSON, I have username and its value is going to be admin. And then I have a comma, I have a password field, and its value is going to be Pepperl123, which is the password we saw in the previous slide for our web interface. Once that's done, if I click on send, I'll receive a JWT token back in a response. The status should be 200 and saying OK. This means everything went well and the KE5 accepted our REST API call. Now I'll copy this token and I'm ready to do my next batch of REST API calls. The second REST API call which we are going to take a look at is we're going to find all the information about module 2 attached to line 1 of my ASI KE5 gateway. So that's how I get this API call over here in the URI column. And I'm going to do a GET request this time. One thing to notice is in the authorization section tab, I have to select bearer token, and I'm going to paste the entire JW token which we copied from our last request over here and paste it. And in the body, I don't require to send anything. because we are just getting information. We are not setting anything. So once everything's done, if I do a send, I get a response of 200 OK. And in the response, I'll get some information regarding our module 2 and its address is 2A, which I've set. It's a digital module, and right now all the values, process data values are false. And we can see other information about it also. Just to prove that it's real time, I can make my sensor high and I can click send. And as you can see that the value in the digital process data output section has changed from false to true. After that, we are going to take a look at a next important API call. In this call, we got all the information from our module 2. From the next call, we're just going to get the process data out of it. So it's going to filter out other paths, which we saw earlier. The procedure is the same, just the REST API call changes, and I have to make sure the bearer token is okay. And I've hit the send. It says 401 unauthorized. So in that case, I can take a look at my bearer token. It might be expired. So to re-initialize my bearer token, I'm going to hit the send again and get a new token. The token expires every 60 seconds as a security measure. And I'm going to paste it over here. Once that's done, if I hit the send, now I'm able to get my process data out of module that's addressed to. And to test it, I can make my sensor high, do a send again, and I'll see my digital value for my first input has changed from false to true. The next call we are going to take a look at is how to set process data. Till now, we are in the process of getting data, digital, and in this section, we are going to set it. To set process data, we are going to use its appropriate URI, and I'm going to do it, set it on module 3. That's my output module. And we are going to use post as our method. In this section also, we have to make sure our bearer token's fine. And also we have to fill in some body for the KE5 to know which output to make high and which outputs to make low. So in this case, my module is digital, so I'm going to use digital, and I'm going to provide 2 trues and 2 false because I want to make 2 of my outputs high. Once that's decided and done in JSON format, do a send, and now we see a 204 no content. That's the correct response because this call sets data and doesn't grab anything back from the KE5 gateway. But over here on my demo board, I can see my 2 output LEDs are lit up. We can even verify this by going to our web interface, and if I go to my ASI devices, I can clearly see my module address 3A, which is a digital output module, has my bit 0 and bit 1 as tagged as output high, and the other 2 are low. Using set process data API call, we can also manipulate analog outputs. In this case, I have my analog output on module address 5. So I've changed my API call having 5 instead of 3. And my JSON's also going to be changed from digital to analog, and it accepts 4 values in the array 0 to 10,000 in case of 0 to 10 volts output. I want to change my first analog output to 4 volts. So I'm going to write 4,000. Once that's done, now if we do a send, it gives me 204 no content, and the value on my demo board's LCD display has changed to 4 volts. Again, we can verify this also from our web interface. If I go to my ASI line 1, devices and select module 5, that's analog output. I can see my output analog value is 4000, which we set from our API call. So this means the call was successful.
Using Postman, we were able to get process data and set process data, but till now we are not able to control anything, or there is no dashboard to visualize stuff. In the subsequent video, I'll be discussing how to do that using Node-RED, so please make sure to check that out. The link for the video will be in the description below. Thank you very much for watching the video. Please like the video and subscribe to our channel for the latest and the greatest in industrial automation and Pepperl+Fuchs. Thanks again. Have a great day. Bye.